Welcome to this episode of Derek Invests. I'm your host, Derek Miller. What are we going to talk about today? So we covered some stocks last week that had heavy short interest, and then we covered some that had almost no short interest. And with the way the market is just sort of creeping up, I thought it would be a good idea to cover some more stocks that had heavy short interest. Because the one thing you have to know about stocks with short interest, those many times are the biggest drivers of bull markets, because what happens is, as those stocks, so you're short, right? You're betting, if for lack of a better word, you're betting on the price of that stock to fall. So when you cover, so if price goes up enough for you decide you do not want that position any longer and you cover, that is false buying. That creates a pop. And as that occurs, those pops are pretty big. And so a lot of times those are the real drivers, or the thing that gets a market really moving. Whereas without short covering, what we've been experiencing for the last week is closer to reality. So what I mean by that, if you look, yes, the Dow's making new highs every day. The S&P, I think it made a new high 3 days in a row, if I'm not mistaken, but it's minuscule. It's 10 basis points. It's 15 basis points. To have bigger rally days, you have to have short covering. And so I thought that would be something interesting for us to look at. We're going to look at Albemarle. We're going to look at Pool Corp, Paramount Global, Campbell Soup, Southwest Airline, Franklin Resources, Live Nation Entertainment, Caesars Entertainment. We're going to take a look at those positions and just see, is there a setup here where you think maybe some covering would take place? So what you'd look for is a rise in price, some increased volume, perhaps, that would indicate covering, which then effectively is the same thing as buying. It is the same thing as buying when you cover your shorts. And remember, after 2008, there was a lot of people that were trying to say that they wanted to get rid of shorting stocks. And I thought, these people that's crazy. They have no idea what shorting actually does, I don't think. That's really the other side of buying. The other side of buying is shorting, not selling. So anyway, let's go ahead, let's share the screen, and let's get started. All right, so we are going to go over to, actually, yeah, that's fine. We're going to go to ALB. We're going to go out monthly. So this is definitely something that has a lot of short interest. It has been pounded. It went parabolic, though. Anything that goes parabolic does what? It comes back from whence it came, and that's about where it's at now. And look at the monstrous amount of volume down here. Remember, you can cover shorts because of a stock rallying in price, or you simply, a stock falls far enough, you think you've made your money on that short. I would tell you this is huge volume down here. Very, very, let's see. I mean, just outrageous volume. So you came from a high of 334. You're now sitting down at 94. So you've fallen about 65%, right? Roughly. Let's move on. Let's get to a weekly chart. That is a lot of volume after a fall like that. And here's a bunch of interest right here, up here at 120, 110, 105. That's kind of what this bar is. It's 107 to 140. A lot of interest here. Let's move out a bit more. And if you think it's outrageous that a stock falls this far and then comes back, if you think that seems wild, I mean, Tesla did the exact same thing. Tesla did the exact same thing after its run up to in 2021. It fell 75% in the following year. Okay, daily. There's nothing aside from back here on this big gap down. Aside from that, which has that's that low 107, high of 122. So the buying would be in there. Is it possible that that's buying with this stock falling to 94? Absolutely. Absolutely possible. Let's take a look. Let's zoom in a little more. What we would like to see, we don't buy until we see the volume. Now, if someone asked me what I thought this gap down was back here, I would say it looks like you're trying to shake anyone out that's still holding this position. These gaps look like it too. These are called exhaustive gaps. Exhaustive gaps on the way down, meaning you're looking to buy supply. Now you have a gap up. This thing's starting to gap pretty darn easily, which is also an indication that this down move may in fact be over. But there's no volume to support this case. There just isn't. You have a substantial amount of volume here, I suppose, but not on a daily chart. And with something that's fallen as far as this, you want to see something on a daily chart. So right now, no, I can't. There is no opinion to be had. Although what I can tell you is this certainly looks like it's in the bottoming process, if not bottomed already. You might be looking at the lows right there, without a doubt. The low could very, very easily be at $72. It could very easily be. But there's no volume to support that. We're not into guessing, right? Like, that's not what we do. So we're not going to have an opinion. Okay, pool. Let's zoom in. Right now, you can see that it's in this range. Comes down. There's a big spike in monthly volume up. Let's go to a weekly. The monthly just doesn't say quite enough. So, yeah, here you are sitting in this range. Interesting that it has such heavy short volume, near 10%, and it really hasn't gone either direction. This is going to be a situation where, I mean, you're going to want to see, obviously, volume. Always volume. Volume is our key indicator, but you're going to want to see a breakout of 423 or 278 with some volume to justify which direction it goes. Because right now it's I mean, this is a long time. I mean, your base here is October of 22, which this was the bottom of the market. But it went up, but it came all the way back down. Yeah, you're going to need to see a breakout there. You're going to have to see a breakout there, and you're going to need to see volume with it. Otherwise, it's just not. Yeah. Now, let's see if we can see which way we believe it's going to break out. Okay, there's a gap up. It fills. Let's get a little closer. Definite volume down here in this low price, but it's rallied pretty significantly since then. Let's see. Gaps are filling. There's a gap here that has not filled. This chart has been filling its gaps too. Zoom in a little more. Yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait for a breakout. It looks like there's a gap down here that you would assume this is going to fill. I mean, the stock's been bouncing around from 440 to 280 for 2 years. So you're going to assume this is going to fill. But there's really not enough here to call either way. And sometimes that's how it goes. Yeah, I can't really say. I can't really say. I'm not sure which way that should go. So let's look at Para and CPB. Go back to a monthly. Whew. Yeah, this isn't going to be anything. There's not going to be evaluation here. They're just looking, and sometimes you have to realize that what you're doing when you go through this stuff is you're just realizing that there are much better positions than this. I mean, that position, we're just gonna back out of this altogether. I would never even look at this. CPB. Well, that's not true. I did look at it, right? But I mean, I would never take a position in it. Well, this is interesting too, because here we are again. This is what, October of 2018. This is probably 22 up here. Nope, it's 21. So that's yeah, this hasn't gone anywhere in a very, very long time. Let's take a look. I mean, look, you have a range there. Let's see if it looks like it's going to pop out of that range at all. No. What we're looking for is either a ton of volume or very, very light volume with some sort of a breakout. But Campbell's soup isn't going to do it for us. So we're going to move on. Let's see. We want to look at Southwest and Ben. Love and Ben. Love. Let's take a look at Love. Well, this is interesting. It's back down at a price that had some pretty heavy buying interest. I mean, you're down there at, $23, $22, and it rallied to 64 off of that volume. And you're back down at that level. So for you guys out there that are traders, you look at this with heavy short interest. That's 2020. You have to be excited about this one. Is there any volume? Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to come back up into this 34 area. That's 10% above where you are now. Is that enough to close out shorts? Because this could very easily be some short closing right here. All three of these bars, look, these three giant bars right here could be covering. Now, not massive covering, but levels of covering, because you don't really see any buying anywhere at this low yet. What you do see is a price pop, and now it's coming to fill this gap. It is coming to fill that gap. And this is on a daily chart. So this is definitely interesting. Let's zoom in on it. Take a look at what we see. All right, there's that gap. Yeah, you don't see a lot below you that makes you very nervous at the moment. So, but when do you feel that gap? Oh, that's a big, long price bar. Bars like this, folks, if for those of you that are just joining, or maybe this is a 2% move. All right, you're going from, at roughly 2%, 29.80 to 30.50. It's 70 cents on 30. I mean, it's roughly 2%. That's a 2% move on one day. You won't see a lot of those in a company like this. And typically, when you do see something like that, it's a very quick reversal down. So this is the first negative thing you really saw, and it's on the 15-minute. So, and this is probably the reversal. It'll probably come back and fill this gap before that rally up. Again, you have to focus on volume. What you're looking for is institutional footprints. Okay. Institutions leave big footprints. That's what you're looking for when you're taking a trade, when you're getting into an investment. You want to know that you're in something with the big guys, in something that they're interested in. Thus far today, we just haven't found that. We just have not found it. Ben lives. He's okay. Let's go back. Like on a chart like this, you're just bouncing off the lows. You would expect to see some pretty heavy buying somewhere. Okay, so this might be construed as some pretty heavy buying, but it's not anything that really stands out. Let's move into a daily. On a daily, there's definitely buying down here. There's definitely buying. Is that enough? No. We can move on from this. That's just not enough. I mean, this is don't get me wrong. This can be the beginning of something. This can most definitely be some short covering, which is what we're probably really looking at with a stock like this. It's back down at that base. When I say base, by the way, I mean, let's go back out to a weekly. I mean, I can probably even go back out to a monthly. In fact, I will go back out to a monthly. When I say it's near its base, I mean the base of the range. That's right here, $17. Here's the high of the range. And this has been going on forever. Okay, so 57, 60, you're at the base of the range. You're going to expect to see some pretty big volume down here if this thing is going to, if it's heavy short covering and this thing's going to take off and have these big moves, you're going to look for more than that. Although I would say this looks like the beginning of something right here. It does look like the beginning of some short covering. It does. That's some pretty big volume. So we are going to look at LYV and CZRs. Okay, CZR. All right, let's get back to a month. Let's take a look. Now, this is interesting. This is interesting because this has high short interest, and it is approaching the high end of that range. So when this pulled down, it probably acquired a significant amount of short interest. But guess what? I mean, that's 2020, so that's not going to be our covering. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, this is daily volume, so you can see there's what, a dozen that are probably at the level it's at now on a price move down when it's just about to exceed a high. This is one to watch. Yeah, this is definitely one to watch. This has volume down here at the low end of this range. You're going to look for some more volume up here at the high. But if you get a big volume day and it's breaking through that price, this thing can take off. Yeah, this thing can definitely take off. Not yet. I don't see it yet. And again, we're not in the business of that. But if you, I mean, even when it takes out this level, I mean, 107.24, you're already sitting at 105.63. If it takes that level out, you're going to see, I would venture to say you're going to see some covering take place. I don't think they're going to be waiting. Anyone is going to be waiting for these highs to be taken out before they cover. I just don't. Caesars, big volume down here. Looks like we're getting some volume again. Let's zoom in. None of these are great positions, by the way, and sometimes that's just the way it goes. I thought maybe we'd find something in here, but, like this is, I can tell you right now, there's dozens of better positions than this. Yeah. Dozens upon dozens of better positions than this. Yeah, there's nothing really that we found today that's very interesting, and that's just the way that goes sometimes. So we gave it a whirl. I mean, we looked up most of those stocks. Every single one of them has a 10% short interest from anywhere from 10, I think, down to 8, a little over 8. So those are right for what we're looking at. It wasn't there. It just wasn't there. So that's where I have to leave it because there's nothing to be seen there. It just is what it is. All right. So thank you all so much for joining me. Don't forget to like, share, comment, all that good stuff. And if you're interested in seeing more of me, I post a lot of stuff on Twitter, a lot of charts I put on Twitter. It's Derek Invests on Twitter. Here's my email address as well, dmiller@prometheaninvesting.com. I do one-on-one coaching for folks if that interests you. And I may do another mentorship in October if that interests you. So please feel free to reach out. And if you have just any questions in general, feel free to reach out. I'll get back to you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And remember, that if you're not good up here, you're not good anywhere. If you're having a hard day, get outside, see the sunshine, go for a walk, smile, fake it till you make it. That smile, you put that on for an hour, it'll become real to a degree, right? It will. It really, really will. And remember, you have never failed up until now. How do we know that? Because you're still here and you're still in the fight. So you've never failed. So I have no reason to believe you're going to fail now. And the most important thing I tell you every day, and I tell you every day, is that every day above ground is a good day. Don't ever forget that. And I'll see you all soon.